Welcome back to another episode of San Diego Prep Insider. Christian Pedersen, David Ring, Bodie DeSilva, joining us on behalf of Scorebook Live. Tommy Morris is off enjoying the engaged life to a tennis pro as he is in Miami Beach. He's going to come back progressively like tanner and tanner from all these tournaments that he keeps going to. So if anybody out there works in the sunscreen or like beauty care line world, help us sponsor us so we can help make sure that Tommy never contracts melanoma or anything because we care about him. We love him. Guys, you were just talking about how out of control, and I'm going to slide this over to the people that you guys actually want to see here. How this year's home run derby home run championship has turned into all of a sudden an out of control arms race. Like this went from, I want to say week one or show number one was like week 3. And we were talking about, all right, there's a couple of numbers. Hey, intern, did you already, intern over here. Intern, come here. There you go, intern.
All the toys have been enjoyed.
Yeah, we're running low on like heavy chew treats. So we're going to go through a couple of pig's ears on this one. But all of a sudden, 6 in his last 7 for Ryan Rivera, yes. And we have turned this into maybe the most exciting home run chase year that we have had yet. Dave has dingers and all sorts of game balls. Bodie has Scorebook Live's top 10 and other stuff to plug. I want to maybe say that we save home runs for the end. I know that we don't normally do that.
No, there's definitely a lot of them.
Let's do that.
So can we get to the top 10 first, Bodie? I don't think that this is a boring top 10 anymore because a lot of L's suffered in those top 5, or at least.
There's been so much movement, which is exciting. It can be a little confusing on how you place teams because how do you value the head-to-head, and did it matter from if they lost in the first week or how recently? But regardless, so far for me, St. Augustine, they got to be number 1. They have not lost. They have tied twice, but 7-0-2. They're my number 1 this week. San Marcos comes in at number 2. They have 1 loss and 1 tie, and both those are to St. Augustine, who's ahead of them. Rancho Bernardo at number 3 is 6-1, although they lost, so that they will be moving again. La Costa Canyon in there at number 4, lost their opener. They've won 6 straight. They've been impressive. Granite Hills in at number 5. Eastlake at number 6 had a really good comeback win yesterday. Santana comes in at number 7. They are now 9-2 after yesterday's win. Canyon Crest at number 8, which that might be a first for me in a while here. Canyon Crest, they've got pitching, they've got a little bit of hitting. They've made some moves this year.
When you say first for you in a while, do you mean first time you've just ranked Canyon Crest or anything, or you're welcoming Canyon Crest back into the baseball upper crust?
Yeah, I think for Canyon Crest, being in the baseball top 10 is a huge deal because they're in a district with Torrey Pines, La Costa Canyon, even San Diego, who have had a lot of baseball success in recent years. So for them to be ahead of 2 of those 3 and into the top 10, I think is a huge deal.
I'll tell you who's it huge for this year, Del Norte.
Yeah.
Del Norte's in the top 10 for the first time, and
I think that's a bigger one. I would argue that Del Norte is a bigger one because I think that for like Cole Forsman's 4 years, that's just the first name, the kid that's at USD that jumps to mind. But like, there was 4 years that we were talking consistently about Canyon Crest.
Colleran.
Cole Colleran, sorry.
Yeah.
Forsman's a football player.
Too many names nowadays. I'm thinking of siblings and.
I think that Canyon Crest was perpetually kind of like.
Yeah, they were.
If you slip, they will take your throne for a couple of years. But Del Norte is a legitimate up and comer, a new one at the throne.
And they're committing a lot of D1 guys, which is what Canyon Crest was doing. They had a couple guys drafted, right? So it's full circle for Del Norte.
Then finishing it out, I have Carlsbad at number 9, though they were shut out by Westview the other day. There's another one who. Another school that I think will have a really good season, and then La Jolla Country Day comes in at number 10 for me.
Can I just complete a side? Hey, intern, another pig's ear coming. Carlsbad baseball didn't put 2 and 2 together, and I know that neither of you guys are huge on TikTok, but they have a coach named Jake Savicki.
Okay.
Or I don't know. I'm trying to pull up his.
That's him.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Do you know that he is like a legitimate TikTok like megastar?
Well, as
his
I Google,
videos are hilarious.
As I Google, that's the first thing that came up. I was not aware of that.
Okay,
now I am.
Watch his Cody Bellinger TikTok personality that he has developed.
Yes.
It's my like low key favorite thing is just him being like, the video where Cody Bellinger has to figure out why people are leaving the Dodgers, and they're like, "Oh, they got traded."
He really does. He can look like him. This is funny.
Yeah.
Watch those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are good.
So shout out to Jake for low key just being a huge celebrity out of Carl. I didn't put two and two together until he did one that was on Carlsbad's field,
Okay.
and I'm like, I recognize that field, and I don't think that there's that many high schools in the country that have like a purple C as their logo.
Yeah.
So that's where it
funny.
the light went off. Bodie, is that all 10 for you?
That's all 10.
Dave, anybody else that you want to discuss? Do you have your own top 10?
I
Where
got
we going?
mine.
All
Mine's
right,
a little
let's go.
different. I think I'm going to reward some of the teams for how they're playing right now. I got Saints number 1. I'm going to put Santana number 2. They've beaten some really good teams this year, and I think until they start losing
That's the one that I want to say what Bodie did, where he's like, hey, I'm glad to have them back. Santana in the top 10,
yeah.
that's a good baseball season.
Right. And I think they're proving that they're playing tough teams, and their strength of schedule is up there. And so I'm going to give them the number 2 nod right now until they start showing me that they're losing. Granite Hills, really strong team at number 3. I got Del Norte at number 4 after a humongous win, probably one of the biggest wins in Del Norte history. RB, they beat RB yesterday 2-1. 2 days ago, 2-1. That's why they've got the nod at the number 4 slot. RB's number 5. Torrey Pines back in at number 6. Eastlake 7. San Marcos 8. LCC 9. And then CCA at 6-1. They're my 10 slot. I assume a lot of these teams will be shuffling around, and the more I get a chance to watch specifically, I think this will round itself out. But right now, I think this is a good indication of how the teams are playing right now, and should be interesting to see moving forward who kind of jumps in and out of this top 10 here.
Third pig's ear coming, so I apologize to Coach. She's not Coach Simons anymore. I apologize to Coach Pedersen if the intern poops herself tonight.
Yeah, there's going to be a ton. There's going to be a ton of movement
in her bowels or in the top 10.
But no, not just in the top 10, but figuring out these playoff divisions come the end of the season.
I don't even want to talk playoffs yet.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's just
like you
as
said, there's
wide
too much
open as I
variability.
can remember,
Yep.
and I think we're headed for a really great season.
I do want to put it on the poll, though, that if Saints wins open division for basketball and baseball in the same year, are they the top athletic school in San Diego?
That's impressive.
I mean, it's an interesting question.
Yeah.
It's an across-the-board guys and girls thing, but if you ever want to hop in on any of these polls or debates, we have them at SD Prep Insider on Twitter, on Instagram. Bodie, you're joining us here on behalf of Scorebook Live. SB Live CA is where you can follow them on Twitter. Download the Scorebook Live app. We appreciate everything that our corporate overlords do in terms of allowing you to work with us. What's coming up this week that you need to plug that people can check out on Scorebook Live?
Yeah, so I've been at 2 games so far this week. Seen Torrey Pines beat Santa Fe Christian. Then yesterday, Eastlake, a great comeback win against Otay Ranch. And I will be headed out tomorrow to see Canyon Crest and La Costa.
You guys talk about matchups head-to-head and stuff. I almost wonder, like, in baseball season, like at what point do you just chop it up to, like, I can't split that hair anymore, and we just have to look at this head-to-head? Like, okay, Otay beat somebody. That's just a big win. Let's stop splitting the hairs of did they catch this pitcher or that pitcher. Right. Because it seems like this year more than ever, we're going to have so many, like you said, complicated, nuanced issues. Yeah. And she's just going to sit between you guys. It's a losing proposition today with the lack of heavy chewers. Hey, we're good. Good intern.
For just to kind of try and answer that, like the way I looked at it, I had La Costa 1 spot ahead of Granite Hills this week. Well, they played La Costa's first game of the year. Granite Hills won by a run, but Granite Hills has lost twice since. La Costa's won every game. So it's tough on how you work it out. I try and do recent matchups, but what's nice in baseball is a lot of the top teams are all playing each other. So that kind of just will kind of work itself out.
RB has played multiple 1-run games this year, I think.
Hey, intern,
that's a big part of why, you see them bouncing around in the top 5 right now is because, I mean, they're playing a ton of tight games. Really, like I said, the teams are going to bounce around, but I think that this year more than ever, there's a lot of teams that are really solid and a lot of teams that have, I think, solidity to play for an entire season too.
Well, and so on a team
like
where
depth
it's
and solidity.
where you say it's really solid, I don't hear signature ace versus fall off game.
Yeah.
I hear it's really good, and that's where I'm kind of like, should this season we just maybe as a county hit the reset that we don't have the traditional notion. I mean, yes, Eastlake, RB, like some of those schools are still gonna be good, but we don't have the traditional notions of everyone's coming for Eastlake's throne. So let's hit the reset and let's just stop splitting these hairs and just like let's get to the end of the season and then we look back and be like, oh, 19-2, 17-4.
Yeah, no,
one's a 7, one's an 8. Like,
I think the big theme, at least for me, is so many teams have good hitters this year, and there's very few top aces around. Where if you have your ace, you can beat anyone when Sam Garrell's pitching for Canyon Crest. But so many teams have hitting. Like, if you don't have your pitching on that day, anyone can really beat anyone.
Do we have any idea how many home runs total have been hit as a county right now?
What's funny when I'll look at certain teams, San Marcos has been known for home runs for quite some time now, but it's like they're hitting, I think, averaging over 2 per game, where you'll have some teams that haven't even hit one yet. So there's a big contrast in kind of the styles of how those are.
Do you think that I can put it on a poll? Like, do you think we've hit 200 home runs as a section this year? Cumulative between everybody.
I'll work on that. Give me a couple minutes and see.
All right. Well, then, Dave,
total, but
because I would just because we always talk about the individual total.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it would be curious. At least off the top of my head, I'd be curious to know how quickly 7 guys with 4 add up.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, we've hit. I mean, I know that we would never be able to ever capture like a section-wide record of how many just home runs were hit in a section because we can't get our heads straight on like basic stats. And I know that, Bodie, you and I are supposed to be in charge of all of that. So, oops. But I would just be curious that like we talk about the couple guys at the elite, but I feel like that list starts to grow where like at the end of the year, I always feel like Dave is saying like
10 games right now.
All of these guys have all this stuff. So
in this short amount of games, there's some guys that have a lot of home runs, and it's, in 9 games.
Very cool ASMR going as Bodie quietly counts.
To have 5 home runs in 9 games. Or
so,
to have
Dave, you want to go
games.
dingers then, and then we'll round this back up, let's go game balls, and then we'll loop back in with dingers.
Yeah, you got it, man. So
Dave, also, you don't have your headset on, but just so you know, as we did last season, every time you hit. Or every time you say a home run, I'm playing a sound. So give me a half-second breath after you finish the name.
You got one for game balls too?
Yeah, I got some raw cheers for game balls as well.
All right, so I'm going to list a few guys in that Del Norte RB game, that 2-1 game where Del Norte prevailed. Emerson Yee, he shut down the RB offense. I mean, geez, this guy had everyone out in front from what I was hearing, but his fastball is like 86. So he had everyone out in front. Do you know why, Christian?
I'm going to, as somebody that was very confident in their 86 popping that mitt, I'm not going to acknowledge that question in the tone in which you ask it.
Okay.
Okay, why was he getting everybody?
Let me ask you this pitch. Let me ask you this question. What's his specialty pitch? Because no one in San Diego throws this
like
pitch.
A split or a nux or something like
it's
that?
It's a fork ball.
Oh, wow.
How legit is that?
Man after my own heart
How
right there.
Let's
go.
Right? And he had everyone out in front on his forkball. So RB couldn't hit it. They won 2-1.
And what was this kid's name?
Emerson Yee.
Emerson.
He's a righty.
Yee?
Yep.
Emerson Yee with the...
Guys getting some love today.
You can find us at SD Prep Insider on Twitter, on Instagram. I'm going to put it on the poll. Emerson Yee with the fork emoji ?
Dude, I mean, shove.
Bodie looks like he's got something to say about utensils or home runs.
To answer the previous home run question, it appears we are at 194 home runs so far this season.
194 home runs this season.
How about that? That's huge, I feel like.
A really good, healthy number.
Yeah. No one's played more than 11 games.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Let's freaking go.
All right, another guy for Del Norte I got, Mason Esteban. He had a single and then a couple like stellar defensive plays at third base against RB. So one of the reasons why Emerson shoved that day, had some good defense. He's batting .560 on the year. Del Norte's not relying on 1 or 2 guys. They've got a full squad here, guys. And another guy that's doing really well for them, Chris Deprima. He's got 3 wins, a 1.58 ERA. And like I said, big reason why they're in my top 5 right now. It's It's a group effort. It's not one or two guys like that are off the charts raking or shoving. They've got everyone doing well right now. And then I've got a game ball for Gabe Diaz at Steel Canyon. He has 37 strikeouts. Helped them to a 7-4 record. Couple pitchers I wanted to acknowledge. So fun week, man. I think some exciting baseball. Del Norte boys deserve the love that they're getting. It's their time. So it should be an interesting week to see how they keep matching up against some of these really tough teams that have, solid defense, solid offense. I think they get to play Poway, Westview, a couple more teams in their league coming up here soon.
You going to be okay, intern? Are you going to be kind and nice? Deal. 194. That just feels like a healthy number. Let's track that as we go forward. What do we want to set? Does that mean that we're on pace as a section to hit 750 of them this year, to hit 500 of them, to hit 2,000 of them? Maybe what do we
500-ish?
I don't think she agrees with you.
If Emerson has anything to say about that.
Okay, well, then let's do this. Let's just right now, for posterity's sake, what are we saying? What are we going to set the over-under at? We think we can, as a section, hit 500 of them this season?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's
for
fair.
sure.
Deal.
We're a third of the way through the year. This is going to be a big season.
All right. Bodie, you got some game balls that you wanted to get to? I appreciate you being our stats department, Mr. Reality. You want to handle your game balls?
Yeah, a few for baseball and for some softball ones as well. Ryan Rivera, we've talked about him last week against San Pasqual. Home run, 2 doubles, 8 runs batted in. Had another multi-home run game this week. Sam Garwell, who we've mentioned in the past, 2 hitters, struck out 16 against Torrey Pines. He's been on fire so far this year, 44 strikeouts in 20 innings, only 5 hits, no runs allowed, 4 walks. So he's been great. Kian Sanchez there at Canyon Crest as well. He homered in both their games last week. Gabe Camacho at La Costa Canyon plays some first base and pitches. Home run, double, 2 runs batted in against San Pasqual last week. Alex Leyva from Morse, in 3 wins last week, 10 of 11 at the plate, so really impressive there. Switching over to the softball side, Jade Ignacio from El Camino had home runs in back-to-back games last week. Sophia Ramuno from Helix struck out 11 in only 5 innings in their win on Saturday. And then Candace Tarley, I think that's correct, from Cathedral Catholic softball, struck out 10 in a 1-hitter against Claremont.
I have just my motto now is, it is until it isn't. That is how I go with names. It's right until it isn't. That's Toto?
That's all.
All right, perfect. All right, let's close this out, as always, with everybody's favorite segment, and really only the reason that anybody watches the football, basketball, or any other versions of this show throughout the years. They just want Dave and his dingers. Dave?
It's time.
What do we got, like... We almost need to rename this the Ryan Rivera Dinger.
Yeah,
Dave's Dingers brought to you by Ryan Rivera and Coach Dufik. But what do you got this week?
Well, just remember, he's had 6 home runs in his last 7 games. He had 2 bombs against Sage Creek in an 11-10 victory. So imagine, you hit 2 home runs. You're pretty much providing the whole offense. He's hitting 647.
It's out of here.
Pretty insane. You hit 647 at this point. That's nuts.
Wait, so he's 647 with 6 home runs?
With
7
home runs.
I'm going to put it on the poll. If you're hitting 640 with 7 home runs at this point in the season, is it time to just walk away? Like, have you done all you can with baseball?
I think the pitchers may just start walking him.
Don't forget about my guy Grant Macarthur, though.
That was last year or 2. We had that 1 or 2 years ago where was it? I forget who it was, but there was somebody that was like on a serious pace, and then all of a sudden, was that Marcelo last year? That he had 9, and then he didn't hit a home run for like 2.5 months because he didn't get pitched to? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah. And then you start swinging at bad pitches because you're getting antsy again.
Right. All right, next guy on my dingers list. We can't forget Grant Macarthur. This guy has 6 now, 6 big flies. They played Grossmont yesterday, and I talked to a guy that was at the game, and he said both the balls that Grant hit, both home runs he hit, 2 against Grossmont, went over 400 feet. And I saw a couple of swings. They are not, I mean, he's absolutely destroying the baseball, destroying pitchers' dreams in a sense.
Yeah, we got a preview last year in that
Wait,
home
hold
run
on. We're putting
derby
that
at
on.
Petco Park.
We're putting that on the poll at SD Prep Insider. If you hit multiple balls over 400 off the same pitcher, have you crushed that kid's hopes and dreams?
Yeah, you go from a PO to one to hit again, right? Got to change profession. And my guy over at San Marcos, Zach Farrell, he has 5 taters, 2 moonshots against Saints, which Bodie mentioned that Saints has 1 tie. San Marcos was that tie, one of those ties. And I wanted to say congrats on your recent commitment to Army West Point Academy. That's big time. Well-deserved. And then here's a couple guys down the list of my dinger board. Jordan Mahan, he's at Mar Vista. He's got 3. Victor Castaneda, Benita Vista. He's also got a really solid squad. He's also got 3. Nico Lebed, he's the catcher for Eastlake. He's hit 2 so far.
He's a junior this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really good leader.
Yeah, he'll play all. I mean, he was in right field yesterday and then comes in to close out the game, so he can.
Well, and
play
he's been a
anywhere on the
catcher and he's
field
been
for them.
second base, and he's kind of.
He's Mr. Do-It-All.
Yeah.
You know, he's the type of guy that, I mean, and for people watching the show, if you want a chance to play college baseball, your opportunity isn't just playing one position growing up. It's learning how to dominate multiple positions and being confident that if you hit, you can be put in the lineup. So
I would also just
play everywhere.
As a side note to that, I would also say that in my limited exposure that I had to college baseball, I also learned a lot that yes, be capable of hitting and be capable of being good at baseball is good, but you're absolutely right that just even a base knowledge of how to play the outfield.
Yeah,
totally.
If you have spent your whole life thinking that you are the best shortstop in the world, even just that base knowledge of like, here's how I take a step back to field a fly ball can come in so clutch.
Did you see that Padres lineup with Cronenworth and left yesterday?
I always remember Buster Posey's final season at Florida State. One of the games they had him play all 9 spots just to kind of showcase what all he can do.
Well, and I think the flip side of that is Alfonso Soriano looking like an absolute dip out in left field for was that the Nationals that moved him out there, and they're like, oh, like he's gonna hit, and then he couldn't field a fly ball to save his life, and that's
you take it for granted. But
Austin Nola told me he wants to play for a team where he can get in a couple more positions. He's almost played every position on the field.
What's left for Austin Nola?
He needs to play shortstop. He needs to play center, and he needs to pitch.
Also, can we also have an aside here for a second, just as a show and as a community? We go from Dave being our baseball analyst that we are recording these like late nights where he can't get the D5 kids straight, and we have him and his boxers just going comments because he's just so mentally drained on high school coverage, to like a year or two later, he's got like James Loney kicking it with him, and he's hanging out, and then he breaks the Eric Hosmer trade, and now he just not even being casual about it. He's just like, oh, these are the inner thoughts of Austin Nola. This is just what Austin Nola's thinking about right now. I'm like,
yeah, I could have.
Damn, bro, let's go.
I could have told you they were going to put Cronenworth on the DL for those couple of games before they did it. That was how cool my offseason was.
Yeah, and that's just where I like this guy, like our baseball analyst is the legitimate journalist out of all of us. I go to all this schooling, and Bodie is Mr. Ethics, and Tommy and Dave are the one getting the good stories and getting to do all the cool journalism.
Legit stories this offseason. That's what it's all about. All right, one last dinger.
Yeah.
It goes to Jacob Campagna, Francis Parker. He's got 2. Big time leader for them. He's a junior catcher. He's going to follow in his brother's footsteps, University of San Francisco. Really good player, man.
I would like to close this out with, as I think through, you list all these different schools, we need to come up with a metric, and not serious about this because this would be impossible to actually do, but like an adjusted home runs rate. So if you hit a ball at your park that would not have been a home run there, but would have been a home run at like over 75% of the fields in San Diego, you get a home run. Like it might not count like for that game as a run, but like one of those like adjusted rates comes out at the end of the year where you could have somebody that like played at a deep park that doesn't have a right field, but he's a lefty pull hitter, and then you adjust it and you're like, oh, 35 home runs. Good for you.
The other one I'm looking at is last year we had a great home run race, but 2 guys finished at 14. With the pace we're on, I think we're going to have multiple guys push past that this year.
Have we ever as a section done a home run derby? Or is it just been what's at Petco? Like it's just
Correct.
been the Petco thing?
As far as I know, yeah.
And that's been what? Consistent for 5 years now?
3, 4, 5, yeah, somewhere in that range.
I can't wait till they have
Why can't that be
metrics during season like they do. You know, it'll become such a common thing that you can put a track man out on a high school field.
That's what him and his company are trying to do.
and
Hey, Dan Beach, get on it. Pitch trackers, let's go.
Yeah, that's going to be the most fun.
He's not going to like that I'm calling him out via.
I'm going to be telling you exactly how far Grant MacArthur's home run went.
Let's go. Well, okay, so let me close this out then. Yeah. Did we get to everything from this week in high school sports?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Hi, Joe Hines. Idea, just off the top of my head. Let's have the home run derby be the pregame entertainment before the Open Division Championship.
Oh yeah.
Let's have the San Diego section home run derby held at where are the baseball finals this year? Are they back at USD or are we at high school still?
I don't believe it's been announced yet.
Okay, so
I'm assuming high school.
All right, whatever. They're at Poway. Poway was a great venue. I love everything about Poway. Love the people there. Jason, just want to double check that. Love you, man. Your esoteric views on the world are always enjoyable. But seriously, though, I would like to have Joe Hines. I'll see you later today at the basketball meeting, and I won't talk to you about it there because that's not the time or place for it. But in general, I say we do that. I don't see any reason that wouldn't be. Like, obviously, you'd have to maybe take one kid from Grossmont and Eastlake that are both in the final, or whoever's in the final, like, and be like, sorry, you just can't do that. But I think that would be dope. Yes? Approval from the room? All right. The motion so passes. Joe?
And for others that just the last thing that are looking to go to games in a couple of weeks, there's going to be a bunch of games at Petco Park. I know prior to
that takes place over what? A week? Or a weekend?
3
3 days?
Yeah, I know April 4th, 5th, and maybe the 3rd day, but I would know Westview's going to play there, Saints and Madison. So those are always fun games. So if you can get down there.
It's such a good mix of marquee games and also cool experiences for small schools.
Yeah, different conferences rotate. And when you buy a ticket, you also get a ticket to a Padres game. So get yourself down there. It's always fun to see those guys playing on a huge stage.
Hell yeah. All righty, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.